On June 6, 1944, when Allied soldiers landed on the Normandy beaches in the largest seaborne invasion ever undertaken, we knew what we were fighting against and what we were fighting for. "75 years later, the few remaining veterans of D-Day are still clear on the reasons this war was necessary. We were fighting against dictators and those who were trampling on human rights. Alarmingly, much of the world seems to have forgotten what we veterans remember all too well, the inevitable erosion of democratic values that occurs when so-called strong men seize power. We also risk forgetting that the victory of the Allied forces, the Americans, Britons, and Canadians who stormed ashore on D-Day, showed something else: the world must work together to avoid war and protect human rights. It was recognition of that very point that led to the creation of the many multilateral organizations that, for the most part, kept the peace and allowed a better world to be built after 1945. Now the very institutions that gave birth to human rights declarations, environmental accords and agreements to create a more prosperous world are under fire by a new generation of dictators and authoritarians. The new authoritarians don't just pose a threat to the post-war structure of peace. They are also undermining human rights in country after country. Trump has threatened and derided Muslims, Mexicans, and others. His administration has put child refugees in cages. In Brazil, Bolsonaro has extinguished the rights of indigenous peoples and LGBTQ people. Rights are being trampled in China, the Philippines, Turkey, even parts of Europe. Like the dictators of the past, leaders in those countries have often risen to power by deriding the other. They have actively fueled hate crimes or stood by while they spread. The values the D-Day veterans and the 359 Canadians who died on Juno Beach 75 years ago, are under attack as never before. Our best tribute to them is to resist the new autocrats and reaffirm the importance of democracy and human rights.